Hoi!
Hey!
Hey!
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. And how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
That's great.
Happy to be back here.
Where is that?
On the island of Lost.
The island of Shuffle Lost.
Shuffleosity.
Welcome to the Island Shuffle. This is the podcast where myself, Bean Levier,
And myself, James Brown.
we watch Lost in the wrongest order possible.
And you're asking how wrong can it be?
Well, let me tell you a thing or two about a thing or two. We don't even know what episode we're watching half the time because we let random.org decide.
And it's true random. But we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that. You'll get an earful. Trust me, that's the only thing we can guarantee about this podcast is an earful about random.org. We can't even guarantee that much about Lost, really.
I wish I could say that we were sponsored by random.org. It seems more and more as time goes on like random.org is sponsored by us.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Anyways, don't just because we're saying invest in random.org, doesn't mean our pockets are going to be lined with anything or anything.
No, not yet, at least.
Not yet. Yeah, it takes a while for that stuff to kick in.
Yeah, I think you usually have to run ads for a year or two before the people that you're advertising for notice and start to pay you.
Exactly. So we're getting there.
Blue Apron, Squarespace,
The whole gang, the mattress company somewhere.
MailChimp.
The whole gang. So this week we watched an episode of Lost, as we always do.
Oh, we hella did.
Oh boy, howdy! And this week it was season 6.
Season 6. Let me tell you about season 6.
Season 6 is
not good.
Not good. Definitely not good.
But we're going to talk about a very specific episode
Yes,
of season
we're not
6.
talking about all of season 6, although it might come up on account of context. But this is season 6, episode 14.
Episode 14.
Very, very late. This is like 2 episodes. There's this episode, 2 more episodes after this episode, and then the finale.
Hell
so
yeah.
this is incredibly late game Lost.
This is the latest I've been, aside from the finale.
Yeah, we've watched a bit of the finale, but this episode is called The Candidate. It centers on Jack mostly.
Oh, I was about to say I don't know why it's called that, but now I do.
Yeah, you remember.
I remember there is a candidate.
There's a candidate.
Not a political candidate, though. It's not like someone's running for office. It's not like that time that Hurley ran for the mayor.
There should have been a crooked politician character on Lost. That's so fucking
that's
perfect.
All it was missing.
That's so fits the mold where it's just like you see them make a decision and they're like, "Oh, I'm bad," and then the island reforms them, and it's good.
Oh.
I feel like that would have been fit such the mold.
They should have had that character instead of Charlie.
They should have had that character instead of Michael.
Oh, hell yeah. Seriously. Michael just should have been that character.
Yeah, that would be cool.
What did Michael do for a living?
It is alluded to often that he is an artist, although we never see any of his.
We don't even. Is he a painter?
I have no idea.
What does the show Lost think that artists do? I guess whatever that means, he's that type of artist.
Apparently, they think he is just bad at being a dad. That's what artists are.
At no point does he ever demonstrate any amount of artistic ability or interest. He never talks about art. He never creates art. He never appreciates art.
Listen.
But he's an artist.
I love to rag on Michael as much as the next guy, but there was no Michael in this episode.
There was no Michael in this episode.
There was none % of Michael. So that's something it has really going for it. That's a positive. So I don't even know where to start because it's a season 6 episode and there's always a lot happening. And yet always nothing happening. Do you want to start with the island stuff? Because I feel like that's the densest stuff, and I kind of want to
Yeah, for sure. The island stuff is the only stuff that really seems to
make it
mean anything.
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of want to get it out of the way.
So the island stuff.
It
starts, and Jack is waking up in a boat.
As one does.
And it's a small little boat.
It's a little boat, not a big boat.
It is on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And beside the boat,
who else?
Sits Sayid.
But Sayid.
And it is lit.
It is lit. Actually, a torch is lit next to them.
A torch is lit. That's what's lighting the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then a man comes who is using the body of John Locke
Yeah.
to do his biddings.
Exactly. But it isn't John Locke. No.
It's the smoke monster.
It's the smoke monster manifesting as John Locke. Just so remember how that's a thing in season 6? Just a fun reminder that that's happening.
The smoke monster is Locke.
Mm-hmm.
And Locke is dead. But his body is being used.
As I understand it, his literal body isn't being used.
Oh, it's just his likeness?
His likeness,
okay.
Exactly.
But Terry O'Quinn is being used.
Yes, Terry O'Quinn is performing as the smoke monster. And also, this doesn't really come up at all, but Sayid is a zombie or something.
Yeah, Sayid
died and came back.
He doesn't seem like a zombie.
He seems fine.
This episode. He does. He seems super chill.
He just
seems
seems
like
chill.
they killed him 5 episodes ago, and then we're like, you know what?
It's fine.
Yeah, bring him back. I liked him.
It's fine. So basically, the rest of the gang, who we'll get to, has been captured by Widmore's Nerd Squad.
By the Nerd Squad.
We're hanging out on Hydra Island, which is where the cages and such, where everybody was locked up back in the start of season 3, if you'll recall.
Yes. The cages.
Where Jack did a surgery on Ben.
Mm-hmm.
A lot happened there, and a lot's happening there now. In fact, actually, all this episode takes place on that island, which is weird to think about. So, we've got Jack, we've got Locke, we've got Sayid. And Locke is like, your friends are all captured by Widmore. And Jack's like, you're the smoke monster. Why the fuck should I fucking trust you, idiot? And Locke's response is, because I could kill you and every one of your friends, but I haven't, so...
That's not a good reason to trust someone. That's just a threat of death.
Yeah, that's just an open death threat.
Why should I trust you? Because I haven't murdered you yet. What?
That's such a low bar.
That makes you less trustworthy.
Exactly.
Most people don't even bring up killing me.
That is such a... Yeah, it goes unspoken.
It is straight up illegal to do so.
I mean, they are on an island outside of laws.
That's true. They're in international
waters.
That's
exactly right. So, meanwhile...
It's sort of like how this show exists in international waters.
It does. Explain.
Well, it's on the internet. And where's that really, you know?
That's true.
It could be, you could access this show anywhere.
You could, unless you're in a nation where the internet is forbidden.
That's true.
So, think about that.
Well, I've got my 4G.
Oh, yeah. True, you do have your 4G.
I mean, it won't be LTE, but... Awful. So, they go... Well, yeah, the people are at the cages.
Yeah,
they get locked in the cage.
Widmore and all his crew of nerds lock a motley posse. We've got a big posse. Let's roll call them. We got Sawyer, classic. Kate, classic. Hurley, classic.
Sun
and Jin are both there as well. And of course, Claire is there as well. And Claire's zombie? Is Claire a zombie?
Claire is a zombie, I think. She's a zombie in the same way that Sayid is a zombie, which is technically. But not through her actions.
But not through her actions or in any meaningful way.
They signify that she's a zombie in this episode by giving her frizzy hair.
Yes, that's how you know. Oh, this show's dumb.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Let me say right off the top, and we'll see if I regret this statement at the end of the episode. Had a lot of fun watching it.
I had some fun watching it.
I mostly enjoyed this episode. Not to say that it is a good episode. But that it is... I just couldn't really believe what I was seeing most of the time.
They do a lot of things, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think it was last episode that we watched, they were on a raft and nothing happened. Whereas I much prefer this, where sort of too much happens to the point that you can't, like, process anything. Yeah. I do prefer that to nothing happening.
I, as a child of the internet, I need to be constantly overwhelmed by everything. Or else I just don't feel much of anything at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's really funny. That's like, season 6 of Lost is like they just hit the Google "I'm feeling lucky" button over and over and over again. Or like they typed in a couple episodes into their phone and then took the first suggestion forever. And it always ends up with this like raucous, ridiculous conclusion.
It's just like, yeah, season 6 is a lot of things, but you definitely can't call it boring.
No.
Except for sometimes when it is.
Yeah.
But we digress. Frank Lapidus, the pilot, is also there.
Oh yeah, the
locked
pilot.
up.
He's wearing his pilot's uniform.
Mm-hmm. So that's the whole squad that gets locked in the cages. And there's a moment where Sawyer's like, "Oh, I'm not getting back in these cages." And then he like dunks on the guy, and then Widmore comes out and threatens to kill Kate. It's not really that. It doesn't matter. They end up getting in the cages.
Yeah, they get in those cages.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Uh-oh, trapped in cages. What are we gonna do?"
And they're like, "We're back in here again, huh? Remember when this happened earlier?
I bet we'll be in these cages for more than 5 minutes."
And then, nope. Guess who comes through?
The smoke monster.
The smoke monster in smoke form.
Yeah.
Well, basically, what happens first is the power goes out.
Yeah.
And then comes the smoky monster.
Uh-huh.
And the smoky monster kills pretty much everyone, as far as we can see.
Oh yeah. Everyone.
And Kate's reaching for some keys.
Yeah, it kills everyone that's not in a cage.
Mm-hmm. Kate's reaching for some keys, and Jack comes through and swipes the keys and helps them escape from the thing.
And they're like, "What are you doing?" And Jack's like, "I'm with him."
And they're like, "Guh?
What?
You're with him? Well, I'm with her. Hashtag Hillary."
R.I.P. Hillary.
R.I.P. She died as she lived.
No
jokes.
The president.
It's true.
Dark.
Hey, you know what else is dark? Locke's attitude.
Yeah, hell yeah. So they run out of the cages and they go to the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And Sayid comes and they're like, "What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack is like, "Sayid helped you get out. He cut the power."
Exactly. So now the whole crew is together. They're walking through the jungle. First thing we see, let me just make sure I've got this order right. So we first see Locke arrive at the Ajira plane, Flight 316, which we've seen a little bit of. This is the plane that they come back to the island on, and it's safe.
I like that plane.
It's a nice looking plane. Locke,
bit of a beaut,
bit of a beauty, bit of a hard beaut.
She's a real fucking beaut.
Oh, love that beaut.
Let me tell you about that plane.
Oh, the stories she could tell you, love.
Let me show you the cockpit.
No.
I'm just talking about planes.
You're just talking about planes. let me show you the wingspan.
Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
You want to join me back in the tail section?
Fuck no. We're going to hell.
Awful.
Okay. Every episode we stray further and further from God's light.
Yeah, those were bad. So then we get a great little scene.
We get a fantastic scene
where John Locke,
aka
the smoke monster, walks up to the plane.
It's being guarded by Widmore's two incompetent henchmen.
Two awful henchmen.
Two goober-looking goobers.
And they're like, "Hey, stop that!" And he doesn't stop. So they start shooting John Locke, but he doesn't respond to bullets for some reason, even though he does respond to other types of physical attacks.
Yeah, but bullets are fine.
Bullets don't work on him. So then he just walks right up, snaps the neck of one of them, shoots the other one with a rifle.
Yep. It's I feel like Terry O'Quinn is having a blast this season.
He's having the time of his life.
Because they're just like, "We're just going to make you evil fucker."
Yeah.
And he's just like, sick.
Nothing can hurt you.
Nothing can hurt you, and you're going to manipulate everyone and do cool shit all the time.
Yeah. That is the real, silver lining of the absurdity of season 6 is that Terry O'Quinn got the role of his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just turned him into John Wick.
It's the best. It's just the best.
He murders so many people in this episode.
He murders he has a real body count, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So He walks up to the plane. He enters the plane. He sees some wires, and he sees some C4.
Yeah.
And the gang arrives, the whole squad.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, whoa, these guys are dead. And Locke comes out and he's like, that's because I killed them.
Oh, yeah, that's literally a quote. What is the real quote? No, okay, here's the real quote. His neck's been broken. Locke pops out from behind a bush. That's because I broke it. Oh, my God.
The dialogue in this episode is all that.
The writers really are on to something here.
They're just like, they're on one for sure. So, speaking of being on one, Locke gets off of the plane and tells them all about how, like, hey, you bozos, we're going to get on this plane. But that's exactly what Charles Widmore wanted, because he rigged this all up with C4, get y'all up nice in a tight, closed space where you can't get away, blow it all up, take care of everyone all at once, including myself. I also want to mention that Locke's motive during this whole, like, Locke/Smoke Monster's motive is that he wants to get off of the island.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
that's why he's like getting the gang and stuff.
Exactly.
Because he knows that they want to get off the island.
Exactly.
And he's like, I will help you get off the island if you help me get off the island.
Exactly. Yeah. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. His motives are multifaceted.
Several facets.
So, he basically says, well, guess what? We may have this, but we may have lost this, but we also have a submarine that we can use.
Hell yeah.
So let's use that instead. What do you say? And they're like, cool.
Sure.
Cool and good.
Planes, trains, and submarines.
So the gang walks up to Widmore's sub. Nobody seems to be guarding it at all.
Nobody.
And so they
just walk in.
They just
open up the hatch of the sub and go inside.
Yeah, Sawyer and the gang, they get separated into a bunch of squads. A lot happens.
Sawyer and Frank are down there.
Yeah,
everyone else is sort of up.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer guard or something.
Sawyer and Frank basically hijack it. They hold the pilot of the submarine at gunpoint and say, like, we're taking control of this. While this happens, Kate takes a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Widmore's people have finally arrived.
They are in the trees now.
They are in the trees, and they are shooting at the gang.
And their first bullet is a direct hit.
A direct hit at Kate.
And then, predictably, not a single other bullet lands after that.
That's absolutely the case. So, Sayid and Claire and Sawyer, various people, Locke included, are all firing at the... Jack as well. They're all firing at having a big gunfight with Widmore's people.
No one is hitting anyone.
No one is hitting anyone, but eventually everyone on our side starts killing everyone on Widmore's side.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, the tables turn dramatically whenever the good guys acquire the gift of aim, and the bad guys, who are basically trained private soldiers, still cannot figure out how to, like, shoot a gun.
You know how it goes.
You know how this ragtag group of people who just so happen to be on a plane one time
are all excellent shots.
Yeah.
And a team of mercenaries can't hit a barn.
Just are not good.
Yeah. So
save for that perfect shot.
That one. Yeah. Time. You get one.
Yeah.
So that's happening. The gangs and the folks are in the sub. Someone's trying to tend to Kate's wound. Someone's like, get Kate in the sub. There's a lot happening. One significant thing that happens is that on the way here, Sawyer was like, well, I guess I was wrong about you, Smokey. I guess we can trust you after all, because you've saved our lives a lot. And then Sawyer kind of pulls Jack aside, and he's like, I don't really trust this guy. When we're walking up to the sub, you got to shove that guy off. Shove Locke off.
Yeah, he said, get him in the water, and I'll take care of the rest. A promise that he does not follow through on.
He sure doesn't, because Jack has a fun, cool moment where he goes, Jack basically doesn't want to leave the island for reasons that are vague and unclear.
Yeah.
He's helping his friends escape, but he doesn't want to leave the island.
No.
So he's like, okay. And Locke is like, hey, come on, why don't you come along, Jack? It'll be
be fun, buddy.
You don't got nothing to stay here for anyway. And Jack says, well, you know who told me to stay here? A man named John Locke. And then he shoves him right in the ocean.
Shoves him in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the smoke monster does not respond to bullets, but you can push him.
You can dunk him.
It is a very established thing.
It might not hurt him, but it will actually fucking like cause him to struggle for a bit.
It will take a long time for him to get out of the water, even though he is the smoke monster who can do basically anything.
Yeah, exactly. But yet he's still somehow tethered to this island.
He is, yeah.
So, the sub... Everybody effectively, except for Claire, who stays behind arbitrarily.
Yeah.
They're like shouting.
Everyone's like, Claire, come.
Yeah.
And then like she's still shooting.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, they're like, Claire, we're leaving. And she's still shooting. So then they leave. And then as soon as it's like the sub is sinking, Claire turns around and is like, wait. And then goes to the smoke monster. They left me. It's like, yes, they did.
And then Locke goes, well, don't you worry, because you do not want to be on that submarine. So Jack is tending to Kate's bullet wound, and he's looking through his pack. And what does he find in his pack?
What does he find in? Oh, a bomb.
A fucking bomb.
C4.
I love
C4 attached to a wristwatch.
Of course, the classic rigging operation.
Oh my god.
So there's a time. You got a timer. It's ticking down, and there's a bomb. And everybody's like, how the heck did that get in there? It must have been Locke. Oh, you mean we couldn't trust the murderous, rampaging smoke monster manifestation of evil?
Oh
Weird.
My God.
Weird, huh?
You mean the man who took our friend's body?
Yeah. You mean the man who seems to have been constantly manipulating all of us from the beginning?
Yeah.
We really trusted him. We really thought we were gonna game him. Anyways. So a debate begins. The Sayid and Sawyer are working, and they're saying like, okay, well, look, we can defuse the bomb maybe if we go this, boop, beep, and if we go a little like these wires here and battery and such. And Jack goes, wait a second. I figured it out. What if Locke can't kill us? What if Locke is not allowed to kill us? And they're like, what do you mean? And Jack says, well, think about it. If he wanted to kill us, why wouldn't he have just done it?
True.
Which is sound.
True.
And I believe something that we know also. Not you and I necessarily, but it is established that there are arbitrary rules that Locke is...
He can't just kill them.
Exactly. He can't kill the people who were chosen by Jacob.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. Welcome to Lost, baby. Love the show.
What if he's trying to get us to kill each other?
Exactly. And Sawyer's like, you're fucking, come on, buddy. I may have been back and forth through time, but this I do not believe.
Yeah.
This is a bridge too far.
No sense.
This is just nonsense. I may have been back and forth through time and seen a shape-shifting smoke monster manifest as my good friend John Locke. But I don't know.
like how it's funny because it's like that is what Sawyer's saying, but that is also like we went through that as well, where we're like these rules are arbitrary and ridiculous, and it's like they just went back and forth through time, and we're dealing with a shape-shifting smoke monster. It's like, yeah, none of this makes any sense. We're just like Sawyer.
Yeah, we're just like Sawyer. That's why he spent so long being our protagonist.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Because he's just trying to make sense of it all, same as us. So Sawyer eventually goes, no, and he pulls the wires. And for a second, the timer stops, and everybody is wondering if they can breathe. And they start to breathe. And then...
the timer goes quicker!
It goes quicker! And then Sayid goes, hey, listen, here's some important information. I forget what I said, but here it is. And Jack's like, why are you telling me this? And Sayid's like, why the fuck else, idiot?
And he takes the bomb and he runs...
He runs down the submarine.
And then he blows up.
He blows up. And that is how Sayid Jarrah dies for real.
Crazy. Dead Sayid dies again.
Dead Sayid dies again.
He gets blowed up.
There's a real poetry to Dead Sayid dies again.
Dead Sayid dies again.
That's like Dead Sayid dies again, never worn. There's like a poetry to it.
Oh, that's sweet.
So now we got a sub that's filling up with water, and if you thought,
and it's up to their necks.
It's up to their necks, and
it gets up to their necks very quickly,
and everybody's kind of frantically going, and Lapidus gets bodied by a door. I want to take a break from this action to highlight a Frank Lapidus funny moment that I just remembered from earlier in the episode. So Frank, by the fact that he's wearing a pilot's uniform at all times, that's how you know that his main personality trait is he's a pilot.
He is a pilot, yeah.
And he, when they first get to the Ajira flight, the plane, when they first get to the big plane, everybody's just kind of standing around. There's like corpses on the ground, and Frank, without missing a beat, is like, "Oh, let's see if this baby can fly."
God damn it, Frank! Not now.
Just too horny for planes.
No, he loves planes.
He loves to go in the sky.
Get me into that cockpit.
Honestly, if you got me in the sky, I don't know if I'd ever come down.
Truly. Honestly, well, you're not like John Locke.
That's true, yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
True. So the gang is back to the sinking submarine. Everybody's escaping.
It's dramatic. They just are leaving the submarine somehow. That's not really addressed.
It's not really addressed. They're just kind of like, go, and then that's it.
Because I would think that if there's a big hole in the submarine and water is rushing in, you could not escape through that hole because there is so much force behind that water.
Exactly. It seems like an intense amount of pressure, especially for a submarine, which, as I understand, pressure is a whole thing.
Pressure is a whole thing. It's very like deep under the water where there is a lot more pressure than
at the time.
normal.
At the time that they get the bomb has 3 minutes left, and they're like, take this up. But that'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah, so they are still 2 minutes away from the top.
At the very least. So the
also they would have to be pretty far off the coast.
Yeah.
In order to be so far away from land that they are 5 minutes underwater.
That is true. Yes, they would have to be making a huge swim to make it back.
Yeah, but they all do.
They all do. Well,
it is not addressed how that happens.
There is also a moment where Hurley is like, "I gotta go get Sayid."
Oh my god!
And poor Jack has to be like, "Dude,
he's dead.
He's gone."
And Hurley's like, "What?"
But he died before and he came back.
I guess so.
So like,
the bomb worked this time. Dead Sayid has died.
So dead Sayid is dead for real, and so. The big centerpiece of this is that Sun is stuck behind some debris.
Yeah.
And while I think Hurley grabs the bullet-ridden Kate, but before they go, Jin's like, "Guys, help! Sun's here," and they go back to try to help push some debris off. But the water's still at their necks, and they're like, "Oh no, it's still at our necks. We can't."
They have
stay here.
a 4-minute scene where the water is at their neckline, even though it reached their neckline in about 1 minute.
Exactly.
So the water stops very quickly rising.
Exactly. And they eventually Jin's like, "You guys got to go on. I'll save her." And they're like, "No, you won't." And Jin's like, "Yes, I will." And they're like, "Okay." And eventually Sun is like, Jin's there, the struggling Sun's like, "You have to go. You're not going to save me."
Yeah.
And Jin's like, "I'm never leaving you again." And Sun's like, "No, please, actually, we have a daughter, please." And Jin's like, "I'm going to die. I'd rather die." And they die.
Yeah.
And we
that
get
was a little bit lit.
Definitely.
I like that the submarine does successfully kill 3 people.
Yeah, I appreciate there's some things I appreciate about it. I appreciate that it's like 3 major characters are killed in one fell swoop, which even for Lost, a show where it's like, oh, anybody can die.
Yeah. It's very clear though that not anybody can die.
Exactly.
Lost, yeah.
But it also does raise the stakes. It makes it like, oh, okay, like because up until now it's still kind of like unclear where Locke is aligned.
Yeah. It's like they're not all gonna make it.
Exactly.
We start to fully understand
exactly.
that. Which I appreciate. We also need to address the fact that in this, like their final moments together, these incredibly emotional and tense moments, Sun and Jin only speak English.
Yes, I think Jin says one thing in Korean, but they're saying "I love you" and "I love you too" to each other in English.
That would not happen.
I don't think that would happen if you were dying.
That's it.
I think you're okay, this is a prime opportunity to brush up on my second language. Make sure I get it right.
Better practice for the future.
Yeah.
Never know when this could come in handy.
Yeah.
You know, like tomorrow or any other day that I'm alive.
Any of the future days where I'm going to live through this. Also need to address the fact that literally all of the non-white characters die.
Oh, yeah.
None of the
white characters die.
All the white characters are fine. The non-white characters, not so much.
They all die in the water.
Not great.
No, not great.
Not great. I feel like you could have, I hate to see Sawyer die. But I feel like that would have been
Sawyer, kill Claire at least.
Yeah.
She's not doing anything anymore.
Yeah.
Kill Hurley. That'd be sad.
That would raise the stakes for sure.
Exactly.
But
because Hurley is one of those characters that you just know they don't want to kill.
Absolutely.
But it's like there's 3 episodes left. Kill him.
Exactly. But it's definitely bad. It's just there's no defending that decision.
Yeah.
It's simply,
especially that the 3 non-white characters were it's one thing that they killed them, but that's also so indicative of the place that all of those characters were offered within the story's arc.
Exactly. Invariably, they're just not as important, more disposable than the white characters.
Yeah, than even a Hurley.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand Jack and Locke and people like that, where they are without a doubt your main characters.
Exactly.
But Kate, Sawyer,
yeah,
Hurley. There's a long list.
Yeah, exactly. It's in a very embarrassing show that stands as one of the most embarrassing decisions.
Yeah.
But look, the gang swims back to the beach and they're all sad. Kate's handling a bullet very well.
Oh, very well. Handling a bullet and a bomb. She's been through a lot.
I also want to mention that we get some sad scenes of once everybody's out of the sub, we get some scenes that are supposed to be sad of the fully submerged submarine, and we see Sun and Jin's hand.
But it just looks like it was filmed in a bathtub.
It just looks like shit.
It's awful.
It looks bad. We also, any exterior shots of the sub are fully CG, and they also look like trash.
Yeah, they look like, I don't know.
It's bad.
They don't look like anything, really.
I would believe that the opening cutscene of Metal Gear Solid 1 looks better than this CG sub.
Have you ever watched any of the old Adam West Batmans?
A little bit, yeah.
The old Batman the movie had a sub in it.
Yeah.
And I would not say it looked worse.
Yeah, it's comparable.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was clearly phony, but it wasn't CG, so they had to do something because they couldn't animate it.
Exactly. There's one more scene after everyone sat on the beach about how everyone died. And it's Locke and Claire sitting on the dock, and Locke's like, "Oh, the sub sank," and Claire's like, "What? But they were on it." And Locke's like, "That's good. I'm bad." And Claire's like, "Whoa, what?" And Locke's like, "I'm gonna go kill the rest of them now. Bye." The end.
Very weird.
So, we've talked a lot about this episode.
A lot happened. But you know what? Even more happened. Some very frivolous shit.
Some incredibly frivolous shit happened. Let me remind y'all about Season 6, the episode of Lost, where instead of learning more about the characters' pasts or futures, we decide to spend a lot of time in an alternate world where the show asks, what if the Flight 815, the fateful flight... The fateful flight in which all our characters are intertwined. What if that flight landed upon Los Angeles safe and sound?
And let me tell you, the answer is not very interesting.
It's not that interesting. Well, I didn't hate it. But
we've got John Locke in a hospital bed.
John Locke's in a hospital bed. First scene of the episode. John Locke wakes up in a hospital bed. Jack's there.
Jack is his doctor.
What are the odds? And
probably 1 in 1.
Probably 1 in 1 because
100% chance of that happening.
And Jack says, "Hey, remember me from the airport? Anyways, you were in a bad accident, but I think I've got you fixed up pretty good. Also, notice that your legs don't work. But guess what?
It's really funny what he says when he's like,
What's that?
When I was in there, like, I got to take a look at, like, the trauma done to your spine. And it's like, oh, is that how surgery works?
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that is correct, but it does seem bizarre.
It seems invasive.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? You're doing, like, a life-saving surgery right now, and you're just checking out my spine?
Just, like, making sure. To be fair, if there was anybody I wanted looking at the rest of my innards, and if there was any more appropriate time to do it, certainly it would be during a surgery.
That's true. Peel the skin back a little bit further and take a look, Doc.
Exactly. Just scope it all out.
Scope it out. Use your stethoscope if you need to.
360 notes stethoscope. That's something probably.
Oh, that's funny.
Should really skilled doctors playing Call of Duty.
That's no scoping, just like puts puts ear to heart.
Yeah, just listens. Just listens really good.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're good. Yeah.
Still beating.
It's still there. So he says, hey, guess what? We're looking at your spine, and I think you might be a candidate
for surgery.
I
can fix your spine, and also there is 0 risk.
Yeah.
Which also seems a little questionable.
Seems a little sus.
Seems like Jack is overly optimistic here, being like, I can absolutely fix
you.
Your spine. And then he's like, what's the risk? And Jack is like, there's no risk.
And Locke is like, no, I don't think so. That's fine. And Jack's like, are you sure? And Locke's like, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
So and also we meet Locke's fiance, who's played by Katie Seagal.
Oh, yeah.
Who you would know as the voice of Leela from Futurama.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, way.
Hey, Katie.
So next scene, Jack goes to visit a little dentist. And who's this dentist?
Oh, my God.
You're never going to believe this dentist.
It is Bernard.
It's gotta be Bernard.
And so Jack comes in and he's like, 3 years ago you did like a emergency dental surgery on this man, John Locke.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about him?
Yeah.
And how does Bernard respond but by saying, don't you remember me, Jack? We sat beside each other on the flight. And I remember whenever I went to go to the bathroom, you hit on my wife, Rose. So I will not help you. Crazy. Very weird.
Bernard with the huge power play. So I guess what changed in this alternate timeline for Bernard is that he is living his best life.
Yeah. He is telling off people like Jack for hitting on his wife that one time.
And everybody's just like, you know what, Bernard? Thank you for calling me out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So he says, look, can't tell you much because you hit on my wife, but here's a name. It's Anthony Cooper.
Uh-huh.
And Jack goes to visit Anthony Cooper. And he's like, goes to a hospital and says, hey, can I see Anthony Cooper? And who else is there but Katie Seagal, Locke's fiance. And he's like, oh yeah, remember me from the hospital? I'm here to see Anthony Cooper. And Katie's like, what the heck are you talking about? You don't want to see Anthony.
No, Anthony.
We don't want to see Anthony. And they end up going in to see Anthony, and Anthony's Locke's dad, who stole his kidney that one time. And he's basically in a vegetative state.
But in this, I guess we are to believe that in this form of reality, they have a good relationship.
Yes.
He didn't steal a kidney from Locke. Yeah. I would imagine.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Nothing about this world implies that in this world, everything's fine.
Yeah. It seems like they had a normal relationship or something.
But regardless, Coop's in a vegetative state.
And we get a long close-up on that unmoving, unresponsive face.
Mm-hmm. And it's something. And then Claire goes to visit Jack for some reason.
Oh yeah, they just constantly are
Mhm.
shoving down our throats
Yeah.
the idea that all of these people were on this flight together, and it's
exactly.
like, we knew that from day one.
It's literally
6 years ago. I knew this information.
This is not new information. Yeah, it's literally like they have a whole to do about how Claire is Jack's half sister, and he's like, he gave me this music box in a will, and like and then Claire's like, well, I just got into L.A. a few days ago. And Jack's like, a few days ago? Well, which flight were you on? And Claire's like, Flight 815. And Jack's like, Bugada, what's going on?
I was on that flight, on that very same flight.
It seems like every single character I talk to's on this freaking flight.
Exactly.
I can't believe it. What are the fucking odds?
So ridiculous.
Anyways, that scene amounts to basically nothing. Except for you get a nice moment where Jack's like, hey, we're family. And it's fine. But the final scene, and this is a scene I actually did enjoy.
I liked this scene too, because it's like, the actors are acting.
The actors are acting their asses off.
There's some amount of drama.
What the scene is Locke is on his way out of the hospital, and Jack manages to stop him just as he's leaving and say, hey, are you absolutely sure you don't want to see the surgery? You don't want to do the surgery? And Locke is like, look, I told you no. And Jack says, hey, I visited your comatose grandfather, or real father, just plain old father. And Locke's like, fucking, hey, chill out, dude.
Doctor.
Please.
You're a very invasive doctor.
This is a bit extreme. And Jack's like, Jack basically gives him this whole to-do about, like, how when my dad died, I had a lot of trouble letting go. And it was hard for me, and I'm still struggling with it. But he's gone, and I got to accept that. And your dad was gone a long time ago, and you have to accept that also. And Locke kind of opens up about how in this reality, the reason that Locke and also his dad have lost their legs, the reason that this is the way it is because Locke got his private pilot's license and took his daddy out on a flight.
Immediately
crashed the plane.
He was not a good pilot whatsoever. Locke's destiny is to
be in plane crash.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
you know what I love about that, actually?
What's that?
Is that that suggests that something similar happened in the other reality. Because even in the island reality, Locke is in the wheelchair. And that's the explanation we get. Or did something else happen in that one?
I'm confused about which reality you're talking about.
Well, in both realities, he's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
In the new reality, he's explained as having been in a plane crash.
Yes.
So in the old reality, why is he in a wheelchair?
We haven't found that yet.
Is it because of the same plane crash?
It's not because of the same plane crash. No. This is new fiction.
Why do they keep putting Locke in this chair?
Because they need to symbolize the idea of a person as broken in an easy and shitty way. That's one thing about Locke's character that nobody really addresses. And I'm not going to act like an expert on disability here, so I'm not going to say more than the bare minimum here, but it seems a little whack to be like, now that I a wheelchair person, have my legs back, I'm whole.
I'm of value.
I'm finally whole.
Exactly.
Seems fucking weak.
Yeah, and that the plot of this entire thing is just Jack obsessively being like, we need to fix you. And Locke is like, stop trying to fix me.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be my friend.
Just let me be. Which, like, good on Locke, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
And for all the shit that these alternate realities do get, and they do deserve them, I enjoyed them in this episode as a respite from the fucking batshitness on the island. I enjoyed that last scene in particular. Literally, like, Matthew Fox and Terry O'Quinn are, like, perpetually, like, just on the verge of tears the whole time.
Oh, it's good. That was a good scene.
It's, like, well acted.
They did well.
They did really fucking well. And I was, like, it caught me really off guard. I was like, wait a second. Hold on.
What's going on? This was all hilarious before this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought the drama was entirely fake.
Exactly. And, like, the stakes of it are completely not there except for, like, just, like, their performing their asses
That's
off.
it, because it's like we just watched 3 very important characters all die, and we were laughing.
Yeah.
And then we watched this thing that is utterly meaningless,
Yeah.
but it's like they did create some tension and drama within the scene.
Yeah, there's something to it, especially because it's like you don't get like I think just Jack and Locke across from each other is just always electric, and it's neat to see them in this context where they're not like fucking at each other's throats.
Yeah, and they don't have any history or anything.
Exactly, and Jack's like being like, "Hey, let me help you."
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think the problem with the alternate stuff is they should have done that way more.
That's
they should have leaned way into it
That's
instead of just being like, "What if Bernard was a guy?"
Yeah, exactly. So here's a cop here.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
fuck that.
They should have just I don't know. So what did you think of this whole fucking wild ass episode?
Awful. Garbage.
Not good.
Truly bad television.
Not good. Definitely bad for sure.
Very bad.
A lot of stuff that makes little to no sense.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've gone into it. We've talked about it.
Ugh.
We've talked about everything that happened in this episode.
It's garbage.
It's bad.
But I do want to see the finale.
You're gonna someday.
I want to see everyone else die.
Though you'll get that chance.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an exhausting episode.
It's so ridiculous.
There's so much of that. It's just so damn much.
There's too much.
You know, I hope our next episode is not quite so exhausting.
What do you say we go to old random.org?
I like that plan.
Should I be going to random or should I be going to the other old...
You should be going to random because I'm busting open a Google Sheets.
Okay, random.org is a random number generator. And it's true random. It uses static noise, not a predictable algorithm.
Finally.
So you might enjoy that aspect of it, viewers at home.
Yeah, I also want to... Okay, before we roll...
Yeah.
I just want to say one more thing about this episode. All the scenes of the submerged... Wait, we mentioned that before, actually, right? Yeah, what I want to say is that this episode tricks you into thinking something is happening by having a lot of things happen. And then if you think about any of them, it just fucking is nothing.
Nothing really happens.
It's just nothing of
They
substance
kill
at all.
3 characters that
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any bearing on the story, really.
Mm-hmm.
Any real bearing. Because they refused to kill anyone who seemed to be of great importance.
Mm-hmm. And
which is unfortunate.
Exactly. It's just I don't know how many more times we can repeat that, but like it just season 6 is disappointing. It's a disappointment.
Garbage.
For sure. Anyways.
I rolled 1 to 121.
Yes.
And I got 15.
15.
I have a feeling we might have already watched this.
We in fact have not. We've watched 16. We have not watched 15.
Hell yeah.
This is season 1, of course.
Season 1.
The episode is called Homecoming. And my friend, it's a Charlie episode.
It's a Charlie episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for a little more Charlie. I like making fun of him.
I haven't seen Charlie in a minute, and I'd love to see him in a season 1 context.
All right.
Hey, thanks for...
Friends, we're coming home.
We're coming home, country road, to the place I have known.
I've been born.
West Virginia.
North Virginia.
Take me home.
South Virginia.
East Virginia.
West Virginia.
Central Virginia. Upside down Virginia?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was trying to think
That's
of.
exactly it.
Okay.
Chaos Virginia.
Chaotic neutral Virginia.
Virginia Prime.
Virginia Wolf.
We gotta end this podcast where this is the rest of it. I've been Bean Levy.
I've been James Brown.
Thank you so much for listening to our silly little nonsense. And like we say at the end of every one of these episodes,